One last thing just on the Hurts thing. And this is not a Jalen Hurts problem because he had to do this, okay? But he keeps rushing that many times. It's going to be Gardner Minshew's show. I don't want it to be Gardner Minshew's show.
That's why I said I don't want my quarterback running the ball 17 times. But he played the game he had to play because Detroit's pass rush was relentless. He stepped up and he made them pay. And because of that, the frustration grew on Detroit's side to the point Tracy Walker takes that unnecessary roughness penalty. Things get a little physical afterward. I thought he was going straight to concussion protocol. Seriously.
I did too. Get the V's up or the W's or however you want to look at it. It is a Monday and the Eagles won. Welcome into Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network, along with my men, Derek Gunn, Barrett Brooks. I'm Rob Ellis, your three amigos, your 3 hours of power coming your way as we do each and every Monday through Friday. Fellas, week one of the NFL, not quite complete. Still one more game. But we had an amazing week, and the Eagles get the win yesterday. How we feeling? How we feeling, D-Gun?
The thing I enjoy most about the first week of the season, and we talked about this last week as we projected 4 or 5 games we thought could have a wow factor to them. And we had that and then some across the NFL the first week, the shockers. A lot of people lost a lot of money on these games over the weekend. I'm telling you.
Yes, sir.
I was at the Ocean Casino doing our pre and post game show for JAKIB Sports.
Congrats.
Yeah, man. And we were in that new Galleria that we were all there at July 1st when we hosted a show there to kick off.
That looked great, by the way.
Let me tell you something. Now, imagine the traffic we had back in July then. Imagine it 3 times more because you got 23 monitors up, big screen monitors. Every game is on. You have people there from all over. You have people from North Jersey, New York, Philadelphia. They're watching all the games. So during a show, all you hear is the oohs and the ahs and the ohs. It was a great atmosphere to watch football. And I'm thinking, I had to train myself because you hear ooh and ah. And while I'm talking to Mike Missinelli and Seth, at some points, I wanted to quickly turn around.
You can't react.
You can't react.
Dialed in. I know.
I'm like, I had to retrain myself. Yep. I'm like, I'm missing all this stuff.
It's one of the biggest challenges of doing a remote is just staying locked in. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. But, yeah.
For sure.
Great first Sunday in the NFL.
Yes, it was. All right, Barrett, I got to start with you, man. The Eagles win 38-35 over the Lions, and it's been an interesting reaction Sunday after the game and spilling over into Monday from the fan base. And by the way, what's up, everybody in the chat room? We see you. Appreciate you. See everybody, everybody streaming, everybody listening. Thanks for hanging with us. And we are going to blow this game out of the water as well as everything in week one. But Barrett, so let's start with that, man. The reaction tempered, I would say. I would say mixed is the way that people are reacting to that win on Sunday.
It's not all doom and gloom. Stay away from the bridges. The defense is not as bad as what you saw today. It wasn't as good as the times when they made things happen either. It's funny. I hear people talking about the game and the way it's being called. It wouldn't have been close as it was if a missed tackle here, run through a guy instead of just getting to a guy and trying to bounce off of him. There were a lot of times they were there to make the play. They just didn't tackle. And, that's the biggest thing about going into the season without having any game type experience. And that's you gotta basically say that was the big problem. They just didn't have enough reps to go through and tackle right. They just didn't do the little things that you do when you're used to playing game speeds and game speed situations. That's the big thing. I mean, even as far as the score being that close, a little thing like Slay picking off that pass, which led then to a touchdown on that drive. I mean, if he makes that play, we're not even talking about that. I mean, we're talking about them winning by 10 points. I know the bettors are pissed off about that, but we're talking about a 10-point swing. I mean, well, at least a 7-point swing. If he turns around, he just makes that interception. I mean, we might even go in and score with that, how high we were. So am I Am I just pissed off at Gannon right now? Do I want to, I'm looking at the comments and want his helmet on stake? No, I'm not that pissed off with him. I mean, he could have been a little more aggressive, but at times he was very aggressive, but I just didn't see it the way everybody else did. I mean, even as far as the beginning of the game, sometimes you get the bear, sometimes the bear gets you. The Eagles defense was very aggressive to start out. The defensive line was very aggressive to start out. Very aggressive. In fact, they used that aggressive nature against them. They ran trap. Good old trap play. The simplest play in the NFL. You did it in Pop Warner days. They allowed Fletcher Cox and Hargrave to get up the field. Backside guard traps that defensive end. The defensive tackle. They run right in behind him. That's using your aggressive nature against you. You can't tell the defensive line, oh, stop being aggressive. No, you don't tell them that. You just have your linebackers go up and make a play, and the linebackers didn't go up and make a play. But, I mean, it was a great coaching job by the offensive coordinator, putting them in a position for some success at the beginning of the game, using, Ben Johnson used the aggressive nature of those guys front to have some big plays against them. So, look, to me, it's not all fire and brimstone about the defense. I'm good with it.
You were good with the defense. I was so far from good with the defense.
Well, I wasn't good with them. I'm saying that I understand why everything that happened.
It did, but where were the adjustments? And where was that highly priced defensive line? Where were they? They got one sack in the game. Half a sack by Fletcher Cox.
And it wasn't a sack either. It wasn't a sack.
Excuse me. They had an accidental sack.
Yeah.
That shouldn't even count as a sack. The quarterback had there was a bad snap from the center. Quarterback drops the ball. Fletcher Cox pounces on. Where was Fletcher Cox all day?
Where was Fletcher Cox? Where was everybody? I know Bradbury had a pick six, but where were a lot of guys yesterday?
If Bradbury doesn't have the pick six, are we sitting here talking about a 35-31 Detroit win?
I'll tell you, they escaped that game. That game was an escape. If that was Barrett. If that was a boxing match and they had another round, they probably lose.
No, if my aunt had a
you just gave me the if Slay picked that off, then it's not the same kind of game. That kind of stuff happens all the time.
I'm telling you something. I'm telling you something right now. I know Barrett's being kind for a reason, and I get it, and I don't want to go overboard with this. Jonathan Gannon's four-man rush cannot continue like that. You cannot continue with the four-man rush.
All right, yes, you said that. Now, what did he do during the game to combat that?
Okay, here's what he did. After Detroit walked down the field and punched him in the mouth first and put 7 on the board, all of a sudden the next 3 series,
3 and out,
Jonathan Gannon dialed up more pressure on Goff because there's okay, but unlike Aaron Glenn, who kept, and I was shocked by what Aaron Glenn did. Aaron Glenn told you he was coming, and he kept coming. The reason Detroit was in that game is because the pressure kept coming on Hurts, forcing him to make – how many times did we say Hurts, which was smart on Hurts' part, by the way, smart, threw the ball out of bounds so he didn't take a sack and cost him yards.
I agree.
Okay? 3 series in a row, Gannon dials up some pressure, forced Goff to make decisions, one of which was the great deflection by Kazir White. Bradbury picks it, takes it to the house. All of a sudden, in the second half, he goes to that doggone 4-man rush. They get no pressure on Goff. That man standing back there tapping the ball left and right. They let them back in that game. When it was 31-14, 38-28, 38-21, should have been lights out. I'm sitting there thinking, it's lights out, game over.
I thought they were going to pull away from him. I
thought
it was like last year.
He lets them back in the game, and all of a sudden, Goff started finding open receivers. And that dime he dropped over the shoulder for the touchdown to DJ Chark over Slay, beautiful throw.
Yep.
You got too much money on that defensive line for nobody to put more consistent pressure.
And that I will say, I wholeheartedly believe that. And I understand why Gannon allowed those guys up front. Because they're supposed to be doing their job. They're supposed to be getting it. We're talking about $14 million here, $11 million right here. Another $12 million right now. Yes, those guys are getting paid top dollar.
Yes.
They should have been rushing the passer, and I understand why Gannon didn't blitz during those times because those guys up front should have made some more thing happen.
But when it didn't work, you got to adjust, B.
Yeah,
you got to adjust. He did. That's what I'm saying. He did.
No. Not in the second half. Not in the second half. He didn't bring enough pressure in the second half. Nobody was touching that man. That man's jersey was clean the whole second half, B.
They spread them out. They spread them out.
You know what? Eagles spread out Detroit's defense. They're sending the linebacker. I'm sitting there watching the safeties creep up, and I'm going, he's doing blitz. Sure enough, how many times did Detroit have a safety or corner coming off the edge to put pressure on Hurts?
Jalen Hurts, you're right.
Now, what Hurts did, Hurts played the game he had to play.
Yep.
People said, and I said this on our post-game show, I don't want to see my quarterback running the ball 17 times.
Hell no.
He had to run, though.
I agree.
He hurt him. And so what happens? Here's why I don't want my quarterback running 17 times. Because every time he escaped that blitz, you're frustrating a defense more and more. To the point, what happens? Tracy Walker lowers a shoulder right in his face.
That wasn't the first one either, by the way.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, now
it was ridiculous. And I'm not. The refs didn't make this a close game. I'm not blaming that, but there were a lot of on the ground hits on him when he slid feet first. When you slide feet first as a quarterback, you can't be touched like that. If you're diving head first, you're a running back. That happened several times before that play.
Yeah,
so that's my issue. Look, guys.
They were jumping on him.
If that's a statue kind of quarterback, he sacked 4 or 5 times yesterday.
Absolutely.
The Eagles' offensive line, and I don't mean in the run game because it did a nice job in the run game.
Yes,
and I'll give all kinds of props to Miles Sanders in a little bit. But as far as the passing game goes, I thought the offensive line came up real small. The best offensive line in football came up really small. And I thought the defensive line, and I'm with Barrett in this sense. I'm not putting all this on Gannon. And I know I'll take heat on the Gannon.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not putting it all on Gannon, but I'm
your
pointing out
players
a
need to
glaring
make
weakness.
Plays, man.
Yes.
And where are Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave,
That's a lot of money. Brandon Graham. That's a lot of money.
Where are those guys at, man? Where are your linebackers? Where are those guys? That kid has 35 spot against Detroit. And I know Detroit's better. And believe me, nobody respects Detroit more than I do. I know how many close games they played. They're not this good. This shouldn't have been a game.
No.
This should not have been a game.
Man, you know what? When you got a wounded animal down, you got to put your foot on his throat, man.
Absolutely.
Anytime you give a weaker opponent an inkling of a sense that we could win this game, 50% of the time they'll jump up and bite you in your backside. You let Detroit think they could win this game.
D-Gun, you said it. You said it at the beginning. You said it last week. That's how first weeks go.
Absolutely.
So you never know. There's surprises everywhere. You never know how things will go. So that's how first weeks go. So the reason why I'm saying this is actually the second preseason game for the Eagles.
Absolutely. Yes.
They didn't go out there and play basic fundamental football.
No, they didn't. Tackling was horrible.
All that stuff comes with and this is another thing with this team is not in football shape right now.
Yeah, they were gassed in the fourth quarter. You could see the
D line. This team, and the reason why they're not in football shape because the only way you can get in football shape is by playing football. You can run around, do as many drills as you want to run. You can do all that. But if you're not playing football, you're not getting in football shape. Mm-hmm. So this is why I'm saying what I'm saying. That's why it's not doom and gloom for me because I understand that they will see the inefficiencies that they have on today when they're watching film today. And they're going to work on those things like tackling. They're going to work on things like making sure the offensive line runs down the field and finishes plays. They weren't picking anybody up. Imagine how many times running backs and wide receiver got up without anybody picking them up. Those are things that are unacceptable to me as an offensive line. They didn't do that a lot of times. I saw a lot of watching the play. When have we seen stoutless lines do that?
Yeah.
Why? Because they're not in shape right now. Not saying that they're out of shape, but they're not in this football shape that you need to be in to be the caliber team we're thinking they could be.
Look, we all thought they would win games with their trenches, with the offensive line and the defense.
Absolutely.
And the offensive line wasn't complete enough, and the defensive line wasn't good enough, period. Yes. And look, the bottom line in this league is win. Stack wins up, and they stacked the win up. They got out of there. To their credit, they were able to milk the clock in large part with that last drive, with the conversion by Hurts and a great run by Sanders. So they did what they had to do, and they escaped. Look, a lot of teams lost yesterday that were supposed to win, okay, and they did. The Eagles won the game. But there are a lot. I'll tell you what, they play like that Monday night against Minnesota, they lose. Straight up lose.
Luckily, they have an extra day to get ready for this game. Jalen Hurts on that last QB sneak to steal the game. I was sitting there going, my goodness, please don't give Detroit one of those home calls, because initially it looked like he didn't get the first down, and then they gave it to him.
It should have been a flag anyways, because I mean, the defensive line was so far off sides, it was ridiculous.
Yes,
they were helmet to helmet.
That's one of those phantom home calls, B. That's one of those phantom home calls.
Call that, man.
But if you remember, also I said last week, if you're going to go into a first game of a season and be a flawed team, Detroit was the perfect opponent.
Absolutely.
For that to happen against.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right.
And that's They escaped. They had so many flaws, and they escaped with the win. I don't care what the score was.
They did not escape with the win. They beat them, and they would have beaten them. Man, there's no way they could stop that offense when they didn't want to. It wasn't an escape. They beat the Detroit Lions.
Okay, let me put it like this. All right, let's say this. All right, let me. Okay, I agree. They beat Detroit. Yeah. Detroit could be. If Jalen Hurts didn't pick up that first down, you'd have been sitting there nervous, right? Because of the way Detroit was moving the ball in the second half, right? Jalen Hurts got the first down. Huh?
They couldn't stop us either.
That's what I'm saying. They didn't just beat them. They didn't just beat Detroit.
Right.
Did you think Detroit was good enough to score 35 points on that defense?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean, they had drives of guys 78, 75, and 72 yards, touchdown drives in the second half.
Yes.
The defense did not show up. The offensive line was a weird day. I thought the run blocking was good and the pass blocking was bad.
Look.
And Hurts Houdiniac saved their asses in it.
So you guys thought that there was a time during this game that they were going to lose. And no point during this game that I think.
Barrett, I will tell you, I was legitimately nervous in the fourth quarter.
Yes.
I was.
Nervous is different from thinking they're going to lose the game.
When it was
no point
38,
did I think they were going to lose the game. No, they weren't going to lose this game. The superior team would eventually go out and beat the weaker of the teams, and they beat a weak team. Now, there's a lot of flaws that they have. They have a lot of flaws that they have to work on.
Keep in mind, too,
it's only one game. It's a one game
exactly.
And I'm just trying to throw sprinkle in some perspective too on both sides of this. From a Detroit standpoint, I don't want to say it was like their Super Bowl, but it was damn close.
It was, yes.
Okay, so you got smoked by this team last year. That's all your coach told you about the entire offseason. You got them first, right?
Yes.
Hard Knocks, we all know. My God, if I have to hear Hard Knocks one more time, but Hard Knocks on top of it.
Yes.
Your crowd. We kept saying with just be able to withstand the storm, right? When they're to come out swinging. Yes. They came out swinging on the first drive. What I was really impressed with, the Eagles then said, all right, we took it. Boom, here we come. And they came back and smoked them. What I didn't like, Barrett, in particular, was I felt like they really took their foot off the gas pedal.
Yes.
And that, to me, that's troublesome.
Well, let me tell them that, look, and I'm going to tell the stream too. I'm not trying to sit back and be like, oh, this team is – I'm not trying to give them any excuses. What I am saying is the best team won the fucking game. They won the game.
Yes, they did win the game. I'm saying
this. At no point did I think that they were going to lose the game either. Now, yes, there was some coaching things. If you're going to get on anything, there's some coaches things that they need to clean up. There's some conditioning things they need to do as a team. They need to get conditioned to play an entire football game. They weren't in condition to play an entire football game.
We all knew that going in. We knew that.
I know, exactly. But number 3, at no point did I think that their athletes were better than ours and they were going to take advantage of that. No.
I am not saying that. I'm not saying that.
They still beat this team. They still beat the Detroit Lions.
They won the game. I'm not going to say they beat Detroit down. They let an inferior opponent, put up 35 points on them.
Yes.
I'm not going to say. And your offense only put up 31 on their defense. Okay.
Right.
Now, luckily, you had a defense that added another 7. So I'm not going to say it was a beatdown.
I'm not going to say it was lucky either. I'm not going to say it was lucky.
I didn't say it was
luck.
No. I'm not saying it was luck.
It wasn't lucky, but I do feel like there was a little bit of the bell rang and you got out of it. Now, to their credit, they ended it. I mean, they basically said, you're not getting the ball back.
You're not getting the ball back.
And that's what good teams do.
Yes.
Good teams instill their will and say, we're milking this bad boy. And guys came up clutch. Jalen came up clutch in that last drive. Miles Sanders, who we will get to, deserves a lot of props. I thought the guy had an excellent day.
Yep.
Miles Sanders.
I agree.
Who took a lot of heat.
Hurts had an excellent day also.
Who did?
Hurts had an excellent day.
Did too. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think here's the thing with Hurts. This is going to sound like a backhanded compliment. It's not. I come away from the game with Jalen saying, my God, he's unbelievable with his legs. And he made some plays with his arm too. Don't get me wrong, but there were still a few things where I'm saying, if you want this team to take the next level, you got to get better at these things. Now, it's early. I'm not saying this is what it's going to look like for 17 games. There are things I just need to see from him. That's all. I'm not.
That's all.
This is not a game where I'm killing
sample.
Jalen Hurts because he saved the Eagles bacon. Dude, let me put it this way. Flip it around. If that's Goff playing quarterback for the Eagles, he's in traction right now.
Absolutely.
He didn't get the time. So I don't know what happened to the offensive line in terms of pass blocking. I don't know what was going on. They couldn't handle Detroit. I know Detroit's throwing the house at them, but you got to be better than that.
Well, you don't throwing the house at them. They've all got 5 guys to block, 7 defenders coming.
Yes.
You know
and he stepped up and he burned them every time.
Yes. So
he did. So that's what I'm saying. It's a 1-game sample, but I'm not going to put this in the category of a beatdown. This was not a beatdown. This game was closer than it should have been.
Way closer than it should have been.
That's my only point.
There were so many points left on the field, even from an offensive standpoint and a defensive standpoint, that it was ridiculous. Yes, they should have scored more points. They only scored 31 points. But the timing in which they scored those points were must-haves, and they got the job done.
One last thing just on the Hurts thing. And this is not a Jalen Hurts problem because he had to do this, okay? But he keeps rushing that many times. It's going to be Gardner Minshew's show. I don't want it to be Gardner Minshew's show.
That's why I said I don't want my quarterback running the ball 17 times. But he played the game he had to play because Detroit's pass rush was relentless. He stepped up and he made them pay. And because of that, the frustration grew on Detroit's side to the point Tracy Walker takes that unnecessary roughness penalty. Things get a little physical afterwards. I thought he was going straight to concussion protocol.
I did too. He took a couple of those where I'm like, oh.
And how many times did he slide and give up his body? You got dudes pouncing on him.
He is a tough cat, okay?
Yes,
he's
a tough dude.
But trust me, this keeps up for 17 games. I don't care how tough you are. It's going to end you. And I just worry. And, I always liken him to, I say this all the time. I'll give you the basketball analogy that I always give with Jalen Hurts. He's a scorer. He's not a shooter. Like, he's going to do what it takes to get you points. He's going to do whatever it takes, whether it's a drive, a jumper, an N1. He's that guy. But I just, that style is hard to maintain with those big dudes that are trying to take your head off.
I'm going to put it like this also. Jalen Hurts, some of the pass, like the slant pass he threw to Brown between 2 defenders where the linebacker dropped off and the cornerback they kind of tried to bracket coverage him, and he threaded the needle in between them, and it allowed Brown, and Brown then gets down to like the 2-yard line on that play, threaded the needle on that play.
Absolutely.
He dropped the dime. He dropped the dime to Brown on the other side.
On the side of floating. Yes, he did.
Yep.
You look at Smitty. Smitty drops. He legitimately dropped.
Yep.
He dropped 2 passes.
He dropped 2. Yeah.
He dropped 2 passes thrown to him. The tight end, number 83, was named
Tungai. Yeah.
He dropped a pass.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, he was doing whatever he could to win this game. And like I said before, he's not going to blow you up in the stats. No. I mean, this game, if he 240 yards passing, 240 yards, you multiply that by 17, he's got over 4,000 yards passing. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about that, what is he doing to it? But the most important stat line that he's going to give this team is the W.
Yeah.
It's
ability to help him win games. Absolutely.
No.
We knew that, and we knew that going into the season. We broke it down last week. We said if he averaged 235, 240 yards passing a game, that's great.
Yes.
That's great. And he's not turning the ball over, that's great. If he's helping his team win, that's great. But we're talking about a 1-game sample that we saw there's areas that need improvement. Obviously,
absolutely,
we knew that.
Absolutely, I'm not going to give everybody the doom. I'm not going to give everybody the doom and gloom and talk about. This team is still great. This team is still good. There are a lot of issues, and there's going to be a lot of film coverage and a lot of cussing and fussing in the meeting room when they watch this film. There's a whole bunch of shoulda, coulda, and woulda, and how many points they left out there sitting for this team, not just on the offensive side of the ball, but the defensive side of the ball also.
Agreed. And here's what I will tell you defensively. And as I tell you guys, I'm running the GAN wagon right now. It's in the shop. The GAN wagon is getting some work done. Okay, we had to stop off, get some maintenance done, and we'll see if that bad boy's going to be up and running. But I still don't know. I come away from this game like I wish I felt better about Gannon and the way he called the game. And I also know that you're paying Fletcher Cox $14 million. You're playing Javon Hargrave a lot of money. I wanted to see more of Jordan Davis, by the way. He played 22 snaps, 32% of the plays. Now, that may kind of be what it looks like, but I thought he was effective when he was in there against the run, and they couldn't stop the freaking run. So why wasn't he in more? Why wasn't there more odd man fronts? I need to see more out of everybody.
Yes.
Kaiser White, I need to see more from everybody than I saw in that game. Slay and Bradbury, I can't really kill necessarily, but there are a lot of players on that defense that didn't come to play as far as I'm concerned.
You cannot have those cornerbacks every game playing 7-9 yards off receivers. You cannot.
Yep.
They're too good for that. You cannot. I want to see these guys come up and play more bump and run. You cannot let them dudes just sit back there and kill you. A team like Minnesota with Thielen and Jefferson will kill you on the quick slant routes every time. You got to have these guys come up. I'm sitting there watching this, please. Why are they playing? Is Seth Joyner now sitting there screaming? Why are they playing 7 and 9 yards off Brown and Chark? They're not Thielen and Jefferson.
Yeah,
get up there and bump and run these dudes.
Yes.
Exactly.
Give your the front seven a chance to get to the quarterback, man.
Bro, also you got to look at those guys that that were blocking for him also. Now, I knew that the two tackles they have, the two bookends that they have at tackle are really, really good players. You know what I'm saying? Tyler Decker, first rounder, Penei Sewell, first rounder. I knew that Sweat, BG, and all those guys, Reddick, are going to have, they're going to have a hard time against those tackles because they're pretty good. You know what I'm saying? But it still doesn't excuse the inside 2 or inside 3, however many people I have in there. Right. It doesn't excuse them from not getting any pressure on Goff. He could step up whenever he wanted to, and that's a fault that you have from the guys on the inside with an inferior guard selection. Well,
Barrett,
I mean,
5 or 6 sacks last year, and you get that kind of garbagey sack this year. 1.
It wasn't even a sack. You know they didn't count it as a sack. There was no sack.
It's not even technically counted as a sack.
No, because it was taken from that because the missed snap.
Yeah. So Goff, who can't move, they didn't register a sack against him, and they got ran on for what, $181?
Yes.
And look, DeAndre Swift's a really talented guy.
That dude, he can step. He can flat out step.
I'm taking nothing away from DeAndre Swift. He's legit.
And you
but
talk
it can't be that bad. He can't kill you like he did.
We talk about Goff can't run, but Goff had one run where he took off, and I don't know who it was. He put his foot in the ground and shook somebody and picked up a first down. You got to be kidding me. Are you kidding me? This is Jared Goff.
And by the way, where was Hassan Reddick? How was he utilized? How are you? This is my biggest fear on defense was what? It was how are they going to utilize Hassan Reddick? I don't feel any better about that now as I sit here today.
I saw him blitz from linebacker level. I saw him come off the edge and not get any pressure against Penei Sewell. They tried to move him around because you couldn't get a beat on him. None of that stuff worked. I mean, we're talking about double digits. That means he's going to have to have one heck of a rest of his season to try to have double digits going into the end of the season.
Yeah.
But I did not see it. I didn't see it. So, I mean.
I also thought, Barrett, he looked a little confused at times. Like the one play, he just stopped. There was a play where he didn't know what to do. He was kind of like, what am I? And that's on him. Like he didn't know what to do.
Yes. Take care of the intangibles. Know what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
Hey, if Gannon shows Kirk Cousins the same amount of respect he showed Garrett Goff in the second half of this game, I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna flat out lose it.
Bro, I don't think he showed Goff respect. I think Goff took the respect that was given to him.
Okay,
he took it because
that's a good way to put it.
You have to identify.
The front four did not do anything to make him in any way uncomfortable, and that's what it was.
So when your front floor is not getting home, when that high price front floor is not getting home, what do? You got to
started running cab blitzes. That's what they did. They started running cab blitzes.
Tell people what that means, Barrett.
Cab blitz is a corner blitz off the edge. Cab blitz is a corner blitz off the edge. They then started running slot blitzes off the edge. They started bringing blitzes from the middle of the field. I mean, when they put Hassan Reddick and at linebacker level, bring blitzes there, and they were working. They were frustrating the blitzes were frustrating the Lions. It's just when he didn't blitz, that's when they had big plays.
Yeah, they couldn't get home. Like, in other words, you can't blitz every play. I know fans want the Eagles to blitz every play. And the problem was, I thought especially early, Gannon was aggressive early.
After their first series. Right. After Detroit's first series.
Right. And then
the next three series.
Barrett's right. Like, when they were in a 4-man front, that's what Goff had all day, and he could climb the pocket, and he was clean. That's where he was hitting Hawkinson.
And that's all I'm saying right there.
St. Brown really started to be effective.
When did that happen? It started happening in the second half.
Yes.
Well, look at this also. The offensive coordinator understood that front four would be very aggressive. He knew that. What is his name?
Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
He knew they were going to be aggressive. So what does he do? He goes back to good old-fashioned Pop Warner football. He was running trap plays, using the aggressive nature of the front four to open up rushing lanes for the running back. So what a trap play is, you're going to trap the 3 technique. So what do? You flash in front of him. It's also like a flash in front of him, and he'll go block outside. That defensive tackle run up the field like, oh, I'm beat him. And all of a sudden he gets to like 2 yards up the field, and then a backside guard traps him.
Right.
And that opened up a huge hole because he was out of place from going up the field so fast and not recognizing that it was a trap play. So bam, he opens up. What happens? Swift runs all the way down the field, 50 yards.
50 yards
on the trap play. They ran that play 3 times in a row.
Yeah, that was the first one. The first big one.
Yep.
Yeah.
And every time they ran it, it hit. The first 3 times it hit for at least 10 yards or more. So how do you stop that from happening? It's recognition by those big dollar guys up front. They weren't recognizing it, so that's why they were having yards.
Let me ask you, as a former player, should the players themselves have recognized that, or were they not prepared to recognize it?
Start off with, they weren't prepared. Came to the sideline, they had to do some adjustments for it. If you get up the field,
that's on Gannon then.
Yes.
Okay.
You get up the field and you notice nobody's blocking you. Once somebody vacates, somebody's going to come replace. So if you're getting up the field, you're not going to you can't think that you're going to you're that good, you're that free that you're not you just up the field and bam, there's got to be something happening. You're not going to get there for either it's a screen play, it's a draw play, or it's a trap play.
Yeah.
One of the 3. So he has to recognize, whoever it is has to recognize it, stop, stay in the hole, and figure out what's coming to replace the guy that just left. They're not just going to leave you unblocked by yourself. You've got to recognize that they're not blocking you for a reason. Now, the first time, you got it. You know what I'm saying? You got me on that one. You got me. Because there's no way they could have prepared for it because they didn't show that last year. They hadn't shown that at all. So, yes, okay, you got it the first drive. But then after that, you go and make adjustments on the sideline. You should know, all right, if you're getting up the field, there's something that's happening. They're using our aggressive nature against us. So if you get up the field, nobody's blocking you. Like I said, it's one of 3 things. It's a draw play, it's a screen play, or it's a trap play. Yep. One of the 2. So that's why they were able to do that, because they didn't recognize it. Defensive linemen didn't recognize it. Make the adjustment. They slowed it down a little bit. But then after that, they went back to it in the second half, and they were still doing it.
There you go. So what does that say?
It's a lot of coaching and guys not recognizing things that should be recognized.
That's what I'm talking about. But the bottom line is that there are things we're going to praise about this game. There are a lot of things that we're going to chastise. But in the final analysis, at least this team wasn't the 49ers, the Bengals, Tennessee, or Dallas.
Bingo.
Or the Colts that ended up in a tie with the Texans of all teams.
Nobody won in the AFC South yesterday.
That's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
It was you're right, Gunner. Bottom line is we could call it whatever we want to call it.
Call you what you call it. Yeah.
It's a W. And they get it. And there are things that they look, this better be a hard week of practice, man. And the good thing is you get an extra day to prep because it's a Monday night game. But there needs to be some wake-up call kind of stuff here for certain guys who I think look, A.J. Brown, we're going to do the offense next, then we'll do the defense. There were certain guys who showed up and a lot of guys who didn't show up. And you're not going to win against, the Vikings not showing up like a lot of those guys did. Now, there's a lot that went on yesterday. We mentioned some of the upsets, also some massive injuries. I'm talking huge ones, including Dak Prescott last night, which really could change the focus of the division, of the whole conference, which we're going to talk about as well. There's a lot to get to, man.
Hey, since we're on the defense, one thing I want to bring up, because I was like, wow, the Eagles safeties, Epps and Johnson, they can flat out go. I'm looking at them coming up and making tackles and filling gaps and bat down passes, thinking this is like watching Jordan Poyer and Michael Hyde. And you guys have heard me say, I think the combination of Poyer and Hyde is the best safety combination in the NFL right now. But watching Johnson and Epps come up with their speed to make some plays, I was impressed.
I was also.
But a bigger picture across the board, they better improve tackling in a hurry.
Yes.
They better improve that tackling.
Yes.
No
yes,
question.
right.
There is no question. All right. We come back. We're going to dig a little bit deeper into Jalen Hurts Day, into the offensive line, into Miles Sanders. What happened to Devontae Smith? How does that happen with 0 catches? Goddard.
I'm here.
Goddard 4 targets. Look, A.J. Brown goes bananas. We'll get into all of that. And then we'll do the defense. And then we're going to get into the NFL and everything that went down, the upsets, the wins, who went off, the injuries. It wasn't just Dak Prescott, another massive name with a big-time injury too yesterday as well. So a lot to dive into. Don't go anywhere. We're just scratching the surface here on Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Derek Gunn, Barrett Brooks, Rob Ellis. All right, let's talk finances. Let's talk about Principal Financial Group and the man himself, Jim Murray, because knowing who to trust with your finances is a scary proposition. You work too hard. You work too hard not to be able to take care of your family, especially in retirement. But I got the right person to work with you, and that's Jim Murray of Principal Financial Group. Whether it's retirement planning, 401k review, insurance review, if you have a small business and you need help with your employee benefits, that's another resource that Jim can help you with. And I will tell you the other big thing is he's a sounding board. You have questions about things. Why is this a good investment? Is this a good investment? Should we jump off of this? Should we change things up? Jim's there to help you. I've entrusted my IRA, a couple 401k rollovers. I couldn't be happier. You can give him a call and be happy as well. 610-996-4751, 610-996-4751. Or you can email him at Murray, MURRAY.Jim@principal.com. That's Murray.Jim@principal.com.